Have you ever had a gut feeling that someone was trying to take advantage of you, pressuring you into something you didn't want to do, or making you feel guilty for saying no? Chances are you are facing manipulation. From subtle mind games to outright emotional abuse, manipulative behaviors can leave you feeling confused and defenseless. Manipulation is everywhere in daily life, from advertising and politics to workplace dynamics and personal relationships. In the realm of dark psychology, manipulators deploy sneaky tactics to influence your thoughts and behavior, often without you realizing it. Marketers, politicians, toxic individuals, even people close to you might use psychological tricks to control or pressure you. However, knowledge is your best defense. Understanding these tactics helps you recognize and resist manipulation attempts. Unfortunately, this issue is all too common. Nearly half of both women, 48%, and men, 49%, in the United States report experiencing psychological aggression, a form of emotional manipulation, by an intimate partner in their lifetime. This shows how widespread manipulative behavior can be, cutting across all demographics and relationships. Learning psychological self-defense empowers you to protect your mind from toxic influences just as physical self-defense protects your body. This means being aware of how manipulators operate and having strategies to counter them. In this video, we will explore 5 effective ways to counter manipulation in all areas of life. These techniques, from recognizing common mind games to setting firm boundaries, will help you stay in control of your own decisions and emotions. With a conversational yet professional approach, let's delve into each of these 5 strategies for resisting manipulation. The first step in resisting manipulation is awareness. Manipulative tactics can take many forms, so it's crucial to learn to spot the red flags. Emotional manipulators often play mind games to make you question your own decisions and feelings. They commonly use strategies like guilt-tripping, gaslighting, and passive-aggressive comments to get what they want. For example, a manipulator might guilt-trip you by saying, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me?" making you feel responsible for their emotions. Or they gaslight you with statements like, "That never happened." You're imagining things, causing you to doubt your own memory of events. Being able to identify these classic moves is the first line of defense in protecting yourself. One clear sign is the effect on you. If you frequently leave interactions with someone feeling drained, confused, or doubting yourself, that's a red flag that manipulation may be at play. Trust your instincts when something feels off. Manipulators will try to bait you emotionally. They may exaggerate, play the victim, or use shame and guilt to provoke you. Pay attention if a person's words or behavior seem absurd, overly dramatic, or make you uncharacteristically anxious. That gut feeling is often a warning sign. For instance, be cautious of anyone who showers you with extreme flattery or promises right from the start. This kind of love bombing is a classic ploy to fast-track your loyalty before you truly know them. Similarly, watch out for passive-aggressive jabs or guilt-laden comments that leave you feeling obligated or apologetic without a clear reason. The key is to recognize manipulation attempts for what they are, so you can respond with your eyes open, rather than getting caught up in the emotional trap. Knowledge truly is power here. Once you name the game being played, it loses much of its grip over you. Manipulators often thrive on emotional reactions. If you get angry, scared, or flustered, it tends to give them the upper hand. That's why the second way to resist manipulation is to stay calm and grounded. When you feel pressure building or sense someone trying to push your buttons, take a mental step back and steady yourself. Regulate your breathing and tone of voice. Slowing down your speech and lowering your volume can help you remain cool and collected, activating your body's relaxation response to reduce anxiety. The more you can regulate your nervous system, the better you'll be able to think clearly, communicate effectively, and stand your ground against a manipulative person. In fact, staying calm and rational in the face of provocation dramatically diminishes the power a manipulator has over you. If you remain composed while they grow agitated, you also deprive them of the emotional fuel they seek. They expect an outburst or compliance, so not giving it to them can throw them off balance. In a tense moment, you can even choose to pause the interaction, politely excusing yourself or suggesting, "Let's take a break and discuss this later," can give you a chance to cool down and gather your thoughts before responding. This prevents you from reacting in the heat of emotion and often diffuses the manipulator's momentum. One practical technique is to detach emotionally. Remind yourself that their behavior is about them, not you. Visualize yourself surrounded by an invisible protective shield. Some experts call this the force field technique, where insults, guilt trips, or unfair accusations simply bounce off without penetrating. This mental image can strengthen your sense of safety and separation from the person's hurtful words. Similarly, refuse to take the bait when they deliberately provoke you. If a manipulative coworker starts hurling criticism or a toxic friend makes a dramatic accusation, resist the impulse to snap back or defend yourself emotionally. By staying composed and grounded, you deny them the emotional reaction they seek, and you maintain control over the situation. It might feel challenging in the moment, especially if they're pressing all your buttons, but that calm persistence is a powerful form of psychological self-defense. The manipulator will eventually see that their usual tactics aren't working to rattle you, which often discourages further attempts. The third strategy is to set and enforce clear personal boundaries. Boundaries are the limits that define what behavior you will and won't accept from others. Establishing healthy boundaries is essential for protecting yourself from manipulation. Manipulators often push limits to see how much they can get away with. Your job is to firmly signal that you won't be controlled. Learn to say no confidently when someone makes an unreasonable demand or tries to take advantage of your kindness. Remember that no is a complete sentence. You don't owe a long apology or justification for protecting your own well-being. In fact, addressing boundary violations promptly, calling out disrespect or overreach as soon as it happens, is fundamental to prevent a manipulative person from gaining more ground. By calmly and consistently standing by your limits, you show that you won't be guilted or pressured into things that feel wrong to you. Setting boundaries also means deciding how much access someone has to you. Boundaries can be physical. For example, not allowing someone to invade your personal space or touch you without consent. Emotional, not tolerating yelling, insults, or attempts to make you feel guilty. Or even digital, such as not responding to work emails during personal time. Know your non-negotiables and be clear with yourself about what you will not tolerate. If you recognize someone in your life is manipulative, maybe a relative who constantly guilt trips you, or a friend who always takes advantage, it's wise to limit your interactions with them. Whenever possible, share as little personal information as necessary and reduce the time and energy you spend on that relationship. You can be polite but firm about your limits. For example, if a colleague keeps prying into your personal life or pushing you to take on extra work for free, you might respond, "I prefer to keep my work and personal life separate," or "I'm not able to stay late and help this time," and then stick to that stance. It's okay to create some distance in order to protect your peace of mind. Protecting your time, energy, and mental well-being is a priority, and truly supportive people will understand that. In the end, healthy people will respect your boundaries. Manipulators won't, and that itself tells you who actually has your best interests at heart. If someone continuously violates your boundaries, despite your clear communication, you may need to further distance yourself or even cut ties to stay safe. Ultimately, fortifying your boundaries removes the manipulator's power to intrude on your life. Standing up to manipulation doesn't mean becoming hostile. It means being assertive, clear, firm, and respectful in your communication. This fourth way to resist manipulation is all about how you respond and hold your ground verbally. First, maintain your composure, as we discussed, so you can choose your words deliberately. Use assertive communication techniques to prevent the situation from escalating while still making your point. This includes using I statements. For example, I feel upset when promises are broken, instead of attacking with, you always break your promises. By focusing on how the behavior affects you, you communicate your needs without directly blaming, which reduces the other person's defensiveness. Be direct and specific about what is bothering you. Cite the particular behavior that is unacceptable, rather than making general accusations or character attacks. For instance, saying, when you cancel plans at the last minute, I feel disrespected, pinpoints the issue clearly. A powerful technique in the face of manipulative excuses or denials is the broken record method. This means calmly and persistently repeating your point or request without getting sidetracked. Much like a broken record that keeps playing the same refrain. Why use this approach? Because a manipulator will often try to dodge responsibility, change the subject, or wear you down with arguments. Don't let them. If you've set a boundary or made a reasonable request, stick to it. Reiterate the facts and your expectations as many times as needed. Steady and calm each time, until the message is received. Let's say you confronted a friend who often borrows money and doesn't pay it back. They might get defensive or try to guilt trip you by saying something like, you know I've been struggling. I can't believe you're hounding me about this now. Instead of getting pulled into an argument over whether you're being too harsh, you could respond with a broken record approach. I understand it's a tough time for you. Still, we agreed you would repay at least part of the loan by the end of the month. What can you pay back now? If they deflect again or make more excuses, you calmly repeat your point. I hear you, and I'm sorry it's difficult. Nonetheless, I need to know when you will start repaying what we agreed on. By doing so, you stay on topic and keep the focus on the issue, which makes it much harder for them to escape accountability. Another key to assertive communication is to validate feelings without caving to demands. Often, a manipulative person will exaggerate their anger or hurt to pressure you into surrendering. You can acknowledge their emotion without changing your stance. For example, you might say, I understand that you're upset and I'm sorry you feel that way. However, I still cannot do what you're asking. This shows empathy, but also makes it clear that your boundary remains firm. As Psychology Today advises, validate the feeling, don't condone the behavior. In practice, that might sound like, I definitely see how frustrated you are. At the same time, I'm not willing to lie on your behalf. Or, I know you're hurt, but that doesn't make it okay to yell at me. Such statements let the person know you've heard them, yet you're not capitulating to manipulative behavior. Also, remember that you don't have to engage in endless debate or over-justify your position. If you've stated your boundary or decision clearly, avoid getting dragged into circular arguments or over-explaining yourself. Manipulators can twist excessive explanations as ammunition to confuse the issue or wear you down. Keeping your message clear and your words to a minimum gives them less to latch onto. By combining calm assertiveness with firm repetition and concise responses, you take much of the wind out of a manipulator's sails. They will soon realize that their usual tricks aren't working. You're firmly holding your ground and not getting hooked by their bait. Our fifth and final way to resist manipulation is to strengthen yourself from within and rally external support. In other words, build your personal resilience so that manipulators have less influence over you. Building resilience against manipulation involves self-care, developing emotional intelligence, and strengthening your support networks. Taking care of your physical and mental health gives you a strong foundation. It's much easier to fend off manipulation when you're well-rested, nourished, and emotionally centered. Make time for activities that reduce stress and boost your confidence, whether that's exercise, meditation, journaling, or hobbies that bring you joy. Cultivating self-compassion and self-respect is also key. When you treat yourself with kindness and acknowledge your own worth, you become less dependent on others' approval, and thus less vulnerable to tactics like guilt or gaslighting that prey on insecurity. In fact, actively building up your self-esteem creates a natural buffer against manipulative tactics. You grow more secure in who you are, making it harder for someone to undermine your confidence or control you through fear and doubt. It also helps to remind yourself that manipulative criticisms or accusations are often distorted. Don't internalize those negative messages. For example, if someone calls you selfish or uncaring for sticking to your limits, remember that setting healthy boundaries is a form of self-respect, not a flaw. By boosting your confidence and holding on to a positive view of yourself, you rob manipulators of one of their main weapons. Another aspect of resilience is developing emotional intelligence, which means improving your ability to understand and manage your emotions. The more you understand your own emotional triggers and responses, the better you can prevent a manipulator from exploiting them. Enhancing your emotional intelligence helps you recognize when someone is trying to play on your feelings, and it allows you to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. This might involve learning techniques to pause and reflect when you feel a surge of anger or guilt, so you can choose a response aligned with your values rather than the manipulator's agenda. It can also mean learning to empathize without absorbing another person's negativity, understanding their perspective while still keeping your emotional boundaries intact. Finally, don't fight manipulation alone. One favorite tool of seasoned manipulators is to isolate their targets. If you feel alone or start doubting yourself, you're easier to control. By contrast, staying connected with people you trust acts as a safeguard. Maintain a strong support system of friends, family members, or mentors who genuinely have your back. Talking to someone outside the situation can provide valuable perspective. Often a friend will confirm that yes, the way you're being treated is not normal or acceptable, which validates your perceptions. If you're dealing with intense or chronic manipulation, consider seeking professional guidance. Therapists or counselors can offer strategies and objective advice for coping with manipulative relationships. There is absolutely no shame in getting expert help. Think of it as hiring a coach for a particularly difficult game. Support groups, even online communities, also exist for people going through narcissistic abuse or other toxic relationship dynamics. Hearing others' experiences can remind you that you're not alone and teach you additional tactics for resistance. The bottom line is that a strong support network, combined with a healthy dose of self-love, will make you far more impervious to manipulation. When you know your worth and have allies reinforcing it, manipulators lose much of their power over you. In conclusion, protecting your mind from manipulation is both possible and empowering. We've covered 5 key strategies, from awareness of dark psychology mind games and emotional self-regulation, to setting boundaries, assertive communication, and building resilience. By practicing these techniques, you equip yourself with a mental armor against coercion and deceit. Keep in mind that recognizing manipulation for what it is tends to be the critical first step in disarming its effect. From there, holding steady with your boundaries and responses puts the control back in your hands. Resisting manipulation is an ongoing practice, and you may not handle every situation perfectly. But each time you identify a manipulative tactic and respond assertively, you gain strength and confidence. Over time, every small act of resistance, each moment you say no, stay calm, or refuse to be guilted, builds up your sense of autonomy and inner strength. Importantly, you deserve to feel safe, respected, and valued in all your relationships. No one has the right to undermine your self-worth or freedom of choice. These self-defense strategies ultimately empower you to protect yourself and maintain healthier relationships, free from the toxic sway of manipulators. Whether it's a pushy salesperson, a controlling partner, or a misleading media message, you now have the tools to push back and guard your mind against manipulation. So keep your guard up and your mind sharp. With knowledge, courage, and support on your side, you can break the hold of manipulation and live life on your own terms, strong, aware, and in control of your own destiny.